So the question actually is for both of you, and really simple. This genre is sort of kind of, it's not in the popular realm, as you, so to speak.
Yes.
For you personally, why opera?
For me, opera, it gave me everything I kind of wanted. I didn't know I wanted this from the beginning. When I started winning competitions in high school and I was like, okay, I can make money doing this. That was, the main thing. Am I going to be able to sustain a lifestyle? But what made it the best is that I realized that I could dress up and I could become someone else. And learning to sing in different languages, the challenge of that, and then the extra challenge of communicating in that language to someone else, it made it much more visceral than even, I would say, like if I wanted to go into musical theater or something else like that. It was like that extra challenge that I was striving for that I really enjoyed. But like I said, but getting to dress up and sing and get paid, there's nothing better than that.
Wow, that's pretty good. For you, I know your background, but you've been doing this a while now. Why opera?
Well, they say that sometimes what you should be doing in life finds you out, and so I grew up in church and gospel, but a high school choir teacher told me that something about the tone of my voice was suitable for opera, and I didn't really know what opera was about until I was exposed to it. But like Nicole, opera provided an opportunity for me to really see the world. The first time I ever was engaged in opera was outside, was in this country, but really was outside of this country on a professional level. And it opened up the opportunity to see new places, new communities, new everything. And so for me, I was like, wow, this is a powerful tool to take me around the world so I can see and experience so much of this world.
So the other question is, why are you passionate about this?
I love it. I love opera, and I love everything about it. I think it tells human stories that people can relate to. I love the fact that it is a skill that you have to perfect. It is something like any like any talent or any discipline that you have to work constantly to maintain, to uphold. Someone told me before that an opera singer has to train like a professional athlete, and our voices are very resilient but also very fragile. And so I love the challenge of continue trying to perfect my art form, what I do, and I just think it provides me a great opportunity to be an expressive artist. So that's why I love opera.
And for you, the passion?
The passion comes from getting on a stage and looking out. You really can't see people in the dark, but you feel it. And you feel that energy, and you feel that these people are with you. And when you're there and you're just bearing your soul and singing and praying that everything comes out to a point where they're appreciating what you're doing, and you feel that energy come back, even if it's silent, you feel that energy. That is like electric to have, is a feeling around you. And I just love that moment. And not only that, I love sitting there on the sides of an opera and watching my colleagues go out there and sing. And I'm like, sing, it's like, it's a great thing to have music in your soul, and it touches people and it touches you. So it just couldn't get any better than that, just to have music in my life like that and have this type of music.
What are the things you need to excel as an opera singer?
One of the main things you have to have, I think, is a tough skin. I think so many people, there are a lot of people with good voices out there, but you have to be able to take criticism, be able to dust yourself off when things don't go exactly the way you expect them to do, because in this career, you never know what someone is looking for. Are they looking for someone tall, someone short, someone Caucasian, someone, African American, or a soprano who has a lighter voice or a heavier voice? And you may not be everyone's cup of tea all the time, but as long as you know within yourself that God has given you a talent and a skill, you're gonna find your place, but you have to have that tough skin to say, I may not be this person's cup of tea, but I may be someone's cup of tea, so it's gonna keep you driving to get to the goal of whatever type of career it comes. You can be on the Metropolitan Opera stage, or you could be, at a community place in upstate New York. Everyone's gonna have their place, but you have to have that tough skin to say, you gotta it keeps you fighting.
Okay, I'm gonna get to Larry in a second, but okay, tough skin, what else?
Also, you really have to have I think you're saying like a passion to do this. It's a job where you get a chance, like he says, to see the world. And I've taken my children all around the globe, and they've seen and met people that most of their friends would never even encounter. But it also takes me away from my family. So it's a job of sacrifice. So you have to really know that this is what I want to do, to know that I may miss my child's, fifth grade graduation. I may miss my sister's, bridal party, that she has before her wedding. And there's a whole bunch of sacrifices, but in the end, it's so worth it because you love what you do. And when you love that much, the people around you, your family members, they understand. They may be a little disappointed, but they're like, we know this is what makes mom extremely happy, and she makes us happy in doing it. So it's that too.
So for Larry, what does it take? What are the things that it takes? Tick them all.
Oh my gosh, there are a lot of things. I think you have to be a curious person. I think you have to want to learn. I think you have to be a sponge. I think you have to be open to criticism, open to stretching yourself. I always tell people being challenged is a good thing. I always feel like if someone challenges you as an artist, as an actor, as a singer, it's an opportunity to untap potential. For me, it's all about trying to push the envelope to try to do something that I didn't think I could do. If someone's asking me to do something, then they see something in me, and something that I didn't even know that I had. And so there's a lot of things I always break it down to this idea that I have a lunchbox mentality where I go to work, and yes, there's a lot of glam and glitz, with opera singing, and we get a chance to meet presidents and kings and diplomats and stuff like that too. But for me, I approach it as something that I am fortunate to do because I've done all the things to get to this point. I've sacrificed, as Nicole talked about before. I've come prepared, being prepared, working on the things that I can control, my technique, my acting, my languages, my stage deportment. All these things are really, really important. And so just having the humility and desire to continue to work, to realize that even if you have a great deal of success, you're not all there. You haven't reached the pinnacle yet. And so I told my wife before that, even though, Nicole and myself, we've been fortunate to do a lot of things, I feel like hopefully my best thing I haven't done yet. And that's the thing that keeps me working. So those are the things that I think about when I approach even how I prepare for the concert in front of 10 people or the sold out stadium somewhere across the globe that a lot of people come to see.
What is different about an opera singer vocally as opposed to, I don't know, country, R&B, you name it?
Opera singing is built on a different technique where we say that we use the entire body. And it's built on Italianate vowels. It's built on a support that uses, a lot of people talk about the diaphragm, a lot of people talk about breath and posture, lack of tension. So we use muscles in a different way. So you hear some singers and it seems like the approach to singing is a lot less stress on their body. They have it here, the stress of their singing, but we as opera singers, we believe in supporting from down low. So you don't hear the or that kind of approach to singing. It's more we call it appoggio or leaned upon, supported upon. That's where our sound comes from, using our whole body to make this sound. Because we don't have amplification, and we have to be heard in theaters in acoustic spaces without the help of any type of miking system.
Just your voice.
Just our voice.
That's tradition?
That is tradition.
Yeah.
That is what opera singing is about. And we sing in places that are acoustically built for our voices to be able to travel. But it's not just about the potential for our voices to travel as much as we understanding how to produce the sound that it will travel. My teacher says our voices should be like a bird that we let fly. Some people do this and try to put their voice there and it won't go as far. So we sing in a way where we try to sing free and with good support and breath, that our voice will just fly and that it will travel in those spaces without us trying to push it.
Wonderful analogy. I can't imagine even trying it, but what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say basically what Larry was saying. I did a concert once with the great legendary Patti LuPone. And I remember she didn't know who I was, and when I came up to the piano next to her, she kind of looked at me and was like, oh, I wonder what she's here for. And, and then we started to sing, and she looked at me and she said, oh, you're the real singer. Because this woman who is sang on every Broadway stage and, you know, to me has one of the most phenomenal voices, says I'm the real singer, because for her, she's like, you sing without amplification. You sing, your voice is going to carry without needing a microphone. And I looked at her, I was like, I said, but you're Patti LuPone. you know,
who you are?
do you know who you are? So, so that is the main difference that we have. That we have the ability to, like you say, have our voices soar without amplification. It's amazing how it amazes other people that we do it, but it's so second nature to us now, you know, it's like, it's what we do, so.
You are this next generation, the current generation of opera singers who are African American. Do you ever think about it, or are you just going about your work?
No, I think about it because as a young singer, it was much more difficult, I think, because when I would travel, I would literally be the only Black person there. I think one of the great things about Larry creating Giving Voice, it was trying to be on stage with other African-American singers, because it was so rare that you would go to a company and any of your colleagues would actually be African-American, and not just on stage, in the pit, stage management, in the main offices of the opera house. So it was always a very lonely place to be, but you know, like I said, again, tough skin, you have to say, this is the way it is, this is the career I want to do. But now, yesterday, the Metropolitan Opera came out with their season announcement, and there were so many young Black singers that were coming and doing full runs of operas, and I'm just like, this is where we've come. So what I had to deal with, and I mean, granted, I had nothing to deal with like many of the singers from the past had to deal with, a lot of the obstacles that they had. But, you know, I'm happy with the way my career, my life has gone, but because of the things I have done and seen go through, I'm seeing the other side and seeing younger people getting a chance to do things that I couldn't even do. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, for you, you feel like you're carrying a torch in some way?
You know, I don't consider it a responsibility that I'm weighed down by, but I do think about it. And Nicole, I think she does think about it too. We have a group of singers that we talk a lot. Actually, we talk pretty frequently, and we talk about the state of the opera world right now. And we talk about how important it is for us to be mentors. And I think Charles Barkley said he didn't grow up wanting to be a role model, but just by being successful sometimes, you will be. And people will seek you out. They'll look at the success you've had, what you've done, and want to be like you. So we're approached all the time by people that are younger than us that really want to have careers. And so for us, it's important to be positive examples for them, to encourage them in a way, to tell them, you know, to give them advice that will hopefully prompt them to work and prompt them to be curious and interested in perfecting their craft and things like that. So I know that people are interested in talking to us, people of our age. We're similar in age, but it is, I think, important for us to be that link and be the connection from the past. The people like George Shirley's and Leontine Price and Martina Arroyo that opened the doors for us, that even though these people, these young singers that are getting the chance to do wonderful things, and they're worthy of it, more than worthy of it, but for us to be there, to be accessible to them, so that any light that we can give to them and any, you know, any type of guidance they may need, I think it's important for us to do it, and I'm open to do it.
There is I'm sure you know, a lingering perception for people who've never been exposed to opera, that it is one of three things: boring, it's in a language I don't understand, it's for old folks. And you say?
I say, come to the opera. I think so many times people say that all the time. I swear to God, if I see another commercial or a cartoon or a TV show where people go to the opera and then you see them like this, knocked out sleeping, I'm like, no, that's not what opera is. Opera can be so exciting. We just did the Marriage of Figaro here, and every show there were more and more people because of word of mouth. People want to think that opera is something that is not accessible to them because it's been ingrained in them from what they see in media, but it's not. When you come, I tell people, you can look, there's gonna be surtitles, you can read everything in English, but I advise that you read the story beforehand, because if we're doing our job correctly, you should be able to tell what we're saying, even though you may not understand Italian. And opera is funny, opera is dramatic, it is romantic, it is all those things. It's as exciting as going to a movie theater. And so many of my friends who I invite to the opera, they're always like, I had no idea this is what opera was. I was like, I've been telling you forever. You just have not been listening. So it's so much more fun than people assume it is. And so many times when people come, they see it for themselves and they're like, oh, I'm gonna come back to this. I really enjoyed this. It's always one gateway opera. It may not be the same one. It may be Figaro for some. It may be Turandot for another. It may be Barbara Seville for another. But once some people get that bug, they're like, oh, I like this. And then they'll expand their knowledge and realize, oh, I'm not, the house isn't full of just white hair. There are young people here and enjoying this. And so you realize that you're not alone.
Larry?
If we can strip away the stigma about opera, I think, and let people be in the space and experience what opera truly is, I think it is the culmination of all the great art forms put together. Acting, singing, dancing, human situations that you can understand. When you see someone die in opera, accompanied by the music and the orchestration, and you see all the costumes and the lights, that's something that, in my opinion, no other art form can quite do it like opera. When Mimi dies in La Boheme, you really cry. And you can have, fall out of your seat funny moments in opera, in Barbara Seville, or some of these other things that are just side-splittingly funny. So if people can understand human interaction, human situations, you can understand
Opera.
You can understand opera, but you can understand the real passion that some of these wonderful composers can encapsulate with their music that is right there. When you hear Rodolfo screaming out for Mimi at the end when she's dying, and underneath you hear the violins just really digging in. Nothing else can do that. So as exciting as it is for me, if you come and give it a chance, and you don't have to love it. I tell people that all the time. But I think you give it a fair chance, you'll see that it'll win a lot of people over.
As they say in the house, bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.